And by the way, I was actually told by some people in the comments of my last video that they actually plan on refuting some of my other recent videos, which, yeah, I'm gonna have some fun with that, so stay tuned.
Today, Jason Skywalker posted a new video on refuting David Wood.
Here we go again. I'm being completely honest. I was more than a little disappointed in this Mumk. For one, I was under the impression that he was gonna contend with my videos on Christianity, since he's told me already that he mainly just deals with Islam insofar as it relates to Christianity. Looking at that, and the fact that this video isn't even remotely related to Christianity, I cannot, for the life of me, figure out why he bothered addressing this video. If he would just enable the comment section so that I could give him a lengthy breakdown with everything wrong with his response, then 9 times out of 10, we wouldn't be here. But for whatever reason, he did not do that. So here we are. By the way, for those of you wondering what happened to my first video on him, while I stand by what I said all throughout the video, the aggressive way I came off in that video was a little uncalled for. I don't want something like that to be something that newcomers see and think is the correct way to handle situations like mine. I'm not the kind of person who hunts for bad blood, and I don't want it sticking around. So unless you already have the link, you won't be able to access it. That being said, I'm still gonna address refuting Islam's videos against me if I see fit. The first 4 minutes is him just rambling on trying to figure out which word I'm referring to when I said lehed.
Okay, so I don't know Arabic. I have a friend who speaks Arabic who we can get to this in another video, but I'm just gonna take his word for it. Let's say that she said that he struck me and it caused me a great pinch. No, okay, so that doesn't make any sense. So I think what he's essentially trying to do is that he's trying to, cover up the fact that she said it caused me great pain, and he's trying to say that the word before that, which is he struck me and it caused me great pain, and he's saying that the word used there is leheb, I think, and it means pinch, right? It means pinch. Because it doesn't make any sense that the Prophet Muhammad struck her and it caused her pinch. He ends up just hiding it. So what he's essentially doing is he's just like, oh yeah, struck doesn't always mean beat, and pain doesn't always mean like, she just got beaten. In fact, the word used is leheb, which means pinch. So I think he's trying to make it sound like to hide it because he has no other way to get around the pain part. I think that's why he's trying to say leheb right after it, so people think that, oh, so it doesn't really even mean pain. But in reality, if you just think twice, you'll realize that he's saying that the Prophet Muhammad pinched Aisha and it caused her pain.
He keeps hammering in this idea that I'm trying to hide the pain part, not realizing that the word lahd is referring to the physical contact being made here. I wasn't covering up pain. I literally said, feeling pain does not mean just having gotten beaten, showing that I am acknowledging the pain. I'll address that part in a bit later. What you need to know right now is that the video isn't titled "The Prophet did not inflict pain on his wives" or "The Prophet did not discipline his wives." It's simply, the Prophet did not beat his wives. No matter how many juicy feminist tears you want to cry out to me for the appalling crime of shoving someone, you cannot argue that he beat her. And that is the point you missed all throughout this video. This is what David missed as well, which is why he made his video in the first place, with that horribly misleading title.
Whether I pinch or bite or punch or kick or slap,
all of those things are not allowed, by the way.
If I'm still inflicting pain onto you, whether it's a beatdown or not, is that still wrong? I hope he responds to this video and answers this question.
Me too.
If I cause you pain in any way, intentionally, is it still wrong? Yes or no? Don't try to bunny hop around it.
Bunny hop?
It's a yes or no question. If I intentionally cause you pain, then is that wrong? It's a yes or no question.
Are you a pacifist? Because the simple answer to that question would be yes, unless it is necessary. But you're trying to make it sound evil no matter the reason for it. The most extreme interpretation of lahd is to shove or push. So, as much as you really want there to be one, sorry, there is no beating. I'm pretty sure that clip made my point clear. I'm refuting the idea that he beat her. I'm not here to dry up your feminist tears and explain how a light poke is not that painful. Allow me to drive this point home by giving you an additional example. My youngest little sister lives with me, and I love her to death. However, when she acts up, which she does a lot, I might have to do some disciplining. Now, suppose my method of striking was a thump on the head. Yeah, like that. However, she comes to you and says, "My brother struck me on the face, which caused me pain." You're going to get a very different idea of how that actually happened. Luckily for us, Aisha was far more intelligent than any non-male of her time, and so she chose her words very carefully. That's how we know with pinpoint accuracy the things that she's describing. You should really learn more about Aisha. She's a lot more intelligent than you think.
I just want to ask you something, Jason Skywalker. So I know you love to scripture twist and take verses out of context, just like your other Muslim brethren.
And I know that you are terrible at even attempting to explain or prove how or why I'm doing that. You just flap your lips and throw scripture twisting and out of context out there for no reason. I didn't twist anything. I gave you the correct translation for one word to explain why it isn't a beating. Why is it that anytime someone doesn't agree with you, they're lying?
But I have an honest question for you. Why do your translators translate it to "he struck her and it caused her pain"? Why do they translate it to that? Why can't they translate it to pinch, and there's no way to get around pain, so that's already out of the question. But why can't they translate it to pinch? It's almost like the Arabic scholars who translate your Quran are dumber than random internet apologist. He's not even really an apologist, neither am I, but random, I don't know, just random people on the internet, random Muslims on the internet apparently know more than scholars and translators who translate it to mean that he struck her.
It is at this point where I introduce to you a very fundamental philosophy, Mr. Refuting Islam. In fact, you would get along with a lot of people, including me, if you understood this better. It's a concept called Hanlon's razor, which goes a little something like this. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by incompetence. Not every decision someone makes is intentional or has malice behind it. If someone is wrong, my default assumption is that the person is either ignorant or incompetent. Your base assumption is that they're evil or they always know exactly what they're talking about. Our Hadith translations were done by one man, Muhammad Muhsin Khan, more than 30 years ago. A translation, by the very fact that it is a translation, is inferior to the original. both in the fact that they use different grammar and in the difference in how words are utilized. If one guy comes and translates all of them, of course there are going to be errors. I'm not talking about translating one word here or there. He translated volumes of text. Hell, no published work that has been translated can sustain itself as a translation unless it is constantly updated, edited, and republished. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Take the Bible, for example. The Bible is constantly having translation updates to this day. They didn't just make King James and call it a day. They had to update it. There isn't even one single King James Bible, actually. I don't actually see the problem with needing to take further looks into the original language, even with the Bible. There's always the possibility that a word or words will still only truly be understood in its original definition and usage, which is why we keep people who know Arabic around to either translate something correctly or clarify its meaning. This will always be necessary. Why do I have to explain such a basic concept? You think scholars just made one good translation of the Bible and then abandoned any and all study of the Greek, Aramaic, and Hebrew texts? That's ridiculous. Furthermore, it's not as though we have constant updating going on with our Hadith books. We had one publication more than 30 years ago. Muslims have been talking about how they need an overhaul, but we simply haven't gotten around to it. As it stands, whichever hadith you read right from the Muhsin Khan publication is the only official widespread English translation of the major books of hadith. You got a problem? Take it up with Muhsin Khan.
He struck her and it caused her great pain. So you're just going against the people who translated this.
Again, it did not cause her great pain. I don't know why you keep reading that into it. Second, again, people make mistakes. There are plenty of Arabic-speaking people I know personally who say that there are many translation errors in the Hadith. Third, while Muhsin Khan did make a translation of the Quran along with a commentary, which also has its problems that I addressed a little in a previous video, our Quran translations are largely far more intact than the Hadith, because after Muhsin Khan, we kept working on the Quran translations, which is just one book. I don't know, maybe most scholars didn't feel the need to dedicate so much time to retranslating so many volumes worth of text all over again. They weren't exactly happy when it happened the first time, so yeah.
And Jason Skywalker, if you're watching this,
I am.
I just have a quick question for you. Do you speak Arabic, yes or no?
Well,
actually, in fact, I'm gonna ask him right now.
oh, okay, so I was curious about this little question he asked me. This was actually before our debate, so he was always planning on dealing with his video. Interesting.
Alright, he's typing. Okay, so he doesn't even know Arabic yet, so again, he's...
Okay, bro, I'm not about to let you get away with this while you spend hours and hours whining about things being twisted and taken out of context when it isn't. I literally said that I don't know Arabic completely. Maybe I should have bolded that word so that he wouldn't forget it in his little commentary. I know enough about Arabic to address this claim, as well as another claim from Christian Prince which I am dying to make a video on. Let me ask you, do you know Hebrew or Greek? Don't even bother giving an answer, I know you don't.
The oneness of God, we don't believe that God is three. We don't believe that God is three. We believe that God is one essence, shared for the glory of these three divine Godheads. But saying God is one, yeah, God is one, and Muslims like to go to the Shema and say that, oh, but look at the Shema, but the word used in the Shema means it's achad, means one in unity. And you can ask any Hebrew scholar about this, and they'll say the same thing. The only one who disagrees with this claim is Rabbi Tovia Singer, and that's because he's one of those rabbis who likes to hide these clear prophecies and clear references in the biblical text, both Hebrew and Aramaic, that prove that the triune nature of God, and he just likes to refute them because that's all he's good for. That's the only attention he gets, because he's just an attention seeker, but he's not really providing any arguments. And we have many scholars like Dr. Brown and Sam Shimon who are refuting the lies of Rabbi Tovia Singer. Nani? 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 Nani?
Therefore, you can never give me a linguistic argument for anything the Bible says. No, not even a posting of a 500-page book is going to make me let you go on this one. Even though anyone can find a linguistic analysis of something, so long as they know enough about the language beforehand so that they can access the sources on it, by your logic, it doesn't matter unless you know the language. Honestly, I don't know what's worse. The fact that you think Ikhad means one in unity, or the fact that you consider Michael Brown and Sam Shimon to be scholars. Please, vote in the comment section.
He's kind of going against the Arabic translators and scholars who already know Arabic, who take the Quran and the tafsirs.
Tafsir walaysa tasfir.
How do you know that this doesn't mean even if it's the most extreme meaning? You said that the most extreme meaning of the word you used is push or shove. Well, how do you know that Muhammad didn't shove or push Aisha, which by the way is still wrong?
Because
this isn't how morality works. You don't bend the knee to your feelings. You need to tell me why giving a light push, which caused a minor annoyance of pain at worst, and emotional pain at least, is somehow evil. Stop telling me that it just is.
So how do you know that Prophet Muhammad didn't shove or push Aisha?
I wasn't saying that I know or don't know. I can't know empirically if that's what you're asking. That wasn't the point. The point I was making is that even if you take the word led to its extreme, the worst meaning you have is shove or push. Therefore, no beating and no room for your tears.
I mean, isn't that his wife? Isn't Aisha Muhammad's wife? I mean, I don't know. I don't know why he would pinch her. That just makes no sense. Like, she's not a little kid. Oh. Never mind.
Ooh, scathing. The Prophet admonished her for the wrong she did, but did it lightly, like lighter than a parent would discipline a toddler. Just because she isn't a kid doesn't make it unnecessary. Also, I find this very funny. He titles the video, "Did Muhammad Beat His Wives?" Aisha tells her story. He even labels the Prophet as a wife beater.
Wife beater beat his wives. Muhammad and his companions were wife beaters.
Yet, even if we forget everything I've said up to this point, the only example David would have on his side is one incident with one of his wives. I guess we're just going to forget about the fact that there are others that exist and label him as a wife beater, which would only make sense if this is something he consistently did, all because of one incident that happened with one of those wives. Alright, boys and girls, time to hear Monkey's terrible analogies.
Okay, so quick question for you. If I cheat on my wife, I still cheated on my wife. I'm still a cheater. If I just murdered one person. I just murdered one person, you know? It was just one time, man. Like, it never happened ever again. Oh, I just hit my wife one time. Ugh. Oh man, I just cheated on my wife one time. Ugh. I'm sorry, I just had a Vietnam flashback. I mean, I'm just baffled by how he's trying to justify this.
Domestic violence, according to a legal definition, the continuing crime and problem of physical beating of a wife, girlfriend, or children, usually by the woman's male partner, although it may be female violence against a male. By definition, literally by definition, the Prophet couldn't be a wife beater, even according to David's wrong interpretation of the singular hadith he uses. Second, key in on all three of those clips I showed from David Wood a second ago.
Wife beater beat his wives. Muhammad and his companions were wife beaters.
Hang on, did you catch that?
Beat his wives.
One more time.
Beat his wives.
That is part of the claim I'm refuting. David said that he beat his wives, yet all he has is one misunderstood incident with one of those wives. How do you not understand something so simple? Also, your analogies are honestly terrible. You can't undo being a cheater, nor can you undo being a murderer. People who make murdering a habit are typically called serial killers, or something like that. Yes, we have a different term for them. You can undo bad habits in your life, like wife beating or lying. It's not like once you're a liar, you're always a liar. Hell, it's not even like telling one lie makes you a permanent liar. You need to be someone who makes lying a habit in order to be called a liar. Also, my point is not that it's no big deal because it only happened once. It's no big deal because of everything else I said up to that point. The point I'm making now was just a side note pointing out the flaws in David Wood's initial approach. It makes no sense to call someone a wife beater and say that they beat their wives when you only have one ambiguous report with only one of them. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying here that it's no big deal because it only happened once. And how you manage to interpret my words that way is what's truly baffling.
I want you guys to be genuine in your hearts. I want you guys to actually think with your hearts for a second.
Why would you want us to do that? If we do that, we'll just end up making baseless emotional arguments, just like you're doing.
If a man beats his wife, if the so-called seal of the prophets, a man of God, beats his wife, is he truly a man of God? Because
I'm just gonna skip this bit. I already proved that it wasn't a beating. He even, low-key, conceded to this point. His only counter-argument was that a pinch is still bad, but that doesn't prove that it was a beating.
What's amazing here is
Your stupidity.
that Muslims lose their
not an argument, but okay.
Why does every word out of someone's mouth have to be an argument? You've done this to me so many times, it's infuriating. I already made my argument. I just wanted to insert a quick jab in there since my previous work was done. What kind of argument would even come after someone says,
What's amazing here is
because that statement itself isn't an argument. So my comment on it was just a joke. Also, telling people to think with their hearts isn't an argument. From now on, any opposition you throw at me that isn't an argument, I'm gonna point out as not an argument.
But why in the name of common sense would Muslims think that beating women and child brides is bad when Allah tells you to beat rebellious wives into submission in Surah 4 verse 34 of the Quran?
Oh, goody, I was waiting for you to bring this up. Hopefully I can end this crap once and for all. I love how David loves to go to commentaries to help prove his point, and he either always misrepresents them or outright lies about them, yet he'll never look up a commentary proving his point to be wrong. Let's look at something on the subject of Quran chapter 4 verse 34. Tafsir at-Tabari. Ibn Abbas is asked what a non-painful hitting would be, and he tells them a light tapping with a miswak. You can translate miswak as toothbrush, but it's actually referring to, drumroll please, this thing.
Lil, what is that? Is that a cinnamon? Is that a cinnamon stick?
That's not an argument, but whatever.
Okay, but all jokes aside,
You're not allowed to make jokes, only arguments. Wait, no, this isn't even funny. The only similarity between a miswak and a cinnamon stick is that they're both sticks.
okay,
Okay.
and it just makes no sense.
Why?
You're cherry picking tasfirs to support your claim.
Tafsir. Walaysa tasfir.
In fact, let's look at the commentary on Quran 4 verse 34.
You all heard that, right? I'm cherry-picking commentaries on the matter. So he's gonna get me busted by quoting several other commentaries which prove my point to be wrong. We're gonna see how many commentaries agree with him and how many commentaries agree with me. Let's keep score.
Okay, so men are in charge. They are in charge of overseeing the proper conduct of women because Allah hath made the one of them, the men, through reason and the division of booty and estates to excel the women. And because they spend their property for the support of women through paying the dowry and spending on them, which women are not required to do so. So good women, he says those wives who are kind to their husbands are the obedient. They are obedient to Allah regarding their husbands, guarding their own persons and the wealth of their husbands, in secret when their husbands are not present, in which Allah hath guarded, through Allah's protection of them, in that he gave them success to do so. As for those whom ye fear no rebellion, their disobedience to you in bed. Their disobedience to you in bed. Okay, very interesting. Admonish them by means of sacred knowledge and the Quran, and banish them to beds apart. Turn your faces away from them, and scourge them in a mild, exaggerated manner.
An unexaggerated manner.
Mild, exaggerated manner,
No, unexaggerated manner.
exaggerated manner.
Miracle of reinterpretation.
Bruh. I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that you made a mistake reading this, but please either recheck your stuff and edit out mistakes before posting them online. It's not that hard, I'm telling you. Or double check what you're reading. Unexaggerated is proving my point, as well as mild, which you did read correctly.
Then if they obey you in bed, seek not a way against them as regards love. Lo, Allah is ever exalted, above every single thing, greater than great. Okay, so I guess women cannot be disobedient in bed. God forbid if they don't want to have sex with you that night. They don't want to have consensual sex, but
And Allah has not burdened you with that which you cannot bear. So do not burden women with that which they cannot bear in affliction. Nice of you to forget to finish reading to see exactly how the commentary qualifies everything that was said up to that point. For future reference, please read the entire thing.
men are in charge of, they have authority over women, disciplining them and keeping them in check, because of that which God has preferred the one over the other. That is because God has given them the advantage over women in knowledge, reason, authority, and otherwise, and because of what they expend on them, the women, of their property. Therefore righteous women among them are obedient to their husbands, guarding in the unseen, that is guarding their private parts, and otherwise during their spouse's absence, because of what God has guarded for them, when he enjoined their male spouses to look after them. And those who fear that they may be rebellious or disobedient to you, which signs may appear, admonish them, make them fear God, and do not share beds with them. Retire to the other bed if they manifest such disobedience, and strike them, but not violently, if they refuse from their rebellion after leaving them in separate beds. If they obey you in what is desired from them, do not seek any way against them, a reason to strike them unjustly. So it's essentially saying strike them, but not violently.
Funny. That sounds exactly like what I showed from Tafsir at-Tabari.
Okay, so what do you mean by strike then?
A light tapping with a miswak.
Like just do a light punch, like a psh.
You should really get into sound design. I'm loving that.
Like just a light tap?
Yes! Oh my god!
So you see how this doesn't add up?
What doesn't add up is your insane inability to understand such a basic argument. Every other tafsir said that it must be a light hitting or tapping that is non-violent. My tafsir gave a narration from Ibn Abbas elaborating on it. It's literally that simple.
This is why I'm not Muslim. Because their religion makes no sense.
I'm sure you understand it very well.
It's first saying that if your wife is disobedient to you, then keep her, do not give sex to her, do not give her sexual pleasure.
No, it says leave her in bed.
And do not share beds with them.
Of course, you would end up not having sex, but it's more specific and isn't directly related to sex. It's saying not to sleep in the same bed with her. So if you like taking the couch, that would be your option.
And if she's still disobedient to you, then just go up to her, just do a light strike, like a light poke. You know, just kind of peep out of the corner, go up to her and just go like, huh.
Nobody's doing that Arkham Knight stuff. There's no reason to be sneaky about it.
You guys can't see me. I mean, I'm just kind of making weird noises.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
It just baffles me. Like, this is what we're dealing with. I mean,
I'd like to know why it makes no sense if you don't mind.
just strike them, just slightly, not violently. It just doesn't make sense. Does that make sense to you, honestly?
Well, I can count on one hand the amount of humans on the planet who give a crap what makes sense to you. You need to bring me a substantial argument, not a baseless opposition.
This is just a pathetic taqiyya tactic that Muslims like to use. Like, just be honest with yourselves.
Taqiyya tactic. How am I lying about it? You kinda just proved that I was right by reading all those commentaries. Now I'm lying just because the religion doesn't make sense to you? Come on, man.
So essentially, what it's saying here, if you look, 1 second.
Uh-oh, people, we reached the bonus round. It's Tafsir Ibn Kathir. 5 points are on the line, and Mumk is really desperate to pull a comeback. Can he come back from this? Let's find out right now.
It's saying refrain from striking her face or cursing her. So there's different commentaries on it.
No, go back. We are finishing that. Allah's statement, beat them, means if advice and ignoring her in the bed do not produce the desired result, you are allowed to discipline the wife without severe beating. Muslim recorded that Jabir said that during the farewell Hajj, the Prophet said, fear Allah regarding women, for they are your assistants. You have the right on them that they do not allow any person whom you dislike to step on your mat. However, if they do that, you are allowed to discipline them lightly. They have a right on you that you provide them with a provision and clothes in a reasonable manner. Ibn Abbas and several others said that the ayah refers to a beating that is not violent. Al-Hasan al-Basri said that it means a beating that is not severe. So yes, I will gladly take those bonus points. Hand them over. This dude obviously didn't read the commentaries talking about how I'm cherry picking them. Nigga, please.
What it's essentially saying is based on I'm just adding 2 and 2 together, something Muslims cannot do. I've proven this in my other videos because they can't understand the Trinity.
Oh, so the Trinity is 4 then?
I'm just adding 2 and 2 together.
Bro, I've never met a Christian who understands the Trinity less than you, Mr. 3 Godheads.
The Trinity. So it's 3 divine Godheads. You have 3 divine Godheads. We don't believe that God is 3. We don't believe that God is 3. We believe that God is one essence, shared for the glory of these 3 divine Godheads.
Don't worry, guys. I plan on reviewing that debate soon enough.
So if you look at these, if you add them all up together, what it's saying is that strike her or beat her, but not too badly.
No, it doesn't say not too badly. It's saying not badly at all.
So Islam still says it's okay to beat your wife.
The more proper word would be tap or poke or admonish, but you want it to look like this, which is why you keep saying beat.
I have a quick question. No matter and it's a yes or no question. I don't want anyone to jump around it.
Everything you ask must be answered the way you want. Mumk, are you gonna die a Christian? It's a yes or no question. Don't dodge it. Don't tell me you don't know. And more importantly, don't bunny hop.
That's racist!
If you beat your wife, even if it's slightly, is it still wrong? If, let's say I use 10% of my power to beat my wife.
10% of your power would not break a wing off a fly's back.
Is that still wrong? Am I not still beating my wife? Am I still not causing her pain? I might not be causing her a lot of pain, but I'm still causing her pain at the end of the day.
Well, if it's just barely 0.3%, then I don't see the problem.
I mean, it seems like you're a parent and the wife is a child.
I guess that's one way of looking at it. If you want to say that the husband is the one who's got to keep the family in check, then yeah.
And if we're going off of Muhammad's example, you should first stop giving them your spoils of war, which you killed hundreds for.
I have no idea where you got that from.
Then you should abstain from giving them sex, but I don't think Muhammad could have handled that with Aisha. You'd have probably left that punishment out.
Ooh, did you really have to go there, man? You know the Prophet had 8 other wives he could have gone to, right? You didn't need to stick with Aisha. Even if he did bother to go that far with her, he could have lasted a night or 2 alone, since he spent much of his time praying anyway. Or he could have just gone to another wife.
So let's see what else Dr. Jason Skywalker has to say.
Thank you very much.
Fact. Muhammad and his companions were wife beaters.
Fact. Your companion, Sam Shimon, is a wife beater.
If you think that wife beating is morally
Okay, so I actually I don't have a video on it, but I actually had a discussion with people who actually are in touch with Sam Shimon. And from what I heard is that Sam Shimon, he didn't actually beat his wife. She was just using that. She was just lying about that.
Well, I can't confirm anything. We're talking about a private incident between two people, and the only witnesses are the two people in question. His friends may defend him, nothing wrong with that, but I can't validate anything they say because I'm not even remotely related to whatever happened. I'm just going off of the only proof available to me, which is the court paper. Besides, it's not really hard to believe. Sam doesn't exactly come off as a husbando, if you know what I mean.
I'm just as dirty as you filthy slime and prostitutes of the devil. Ray Brewster, I think what sin is that your mother gave birth to a filthy dog, scum lowlife like you. Emily, what I think is a serious discussion is that you're a filthy prostitute of Satan who make your father proud because you're a filthy pig for saying he's asking me a serious question. You wicked prostitute of Satan. Pendo, who told you my anger is leading me to sin? If you say something stupid, I'm going to block you too. I'm not sinning. We love you, Jesus.
But let's see how you address it. You guys are gonna love this next bit. It's just pure, powerful gold, unparalleled research skills. You ready?
So let's take a look at this. So notice how there's no proof. It's just all empty claims. Just all empty claims. Just all empty claims. Just all of these are empty claims. So notice how there's no proof, because there is no proof.
Bro, you didn't read through, analyze, or debunk anything that was written there. How am I supposed to take this seriously, man? You know what? I should do this with any Answering Islam article the next Sam Shimon fanboy spams at me. So let's take a look at the source. So notice how it's just a bunch of empty claims and lies. Not to mention scripture twisting. Funny how they have a show called Scripture Twisting when they do it so much themselves. Okay guys, be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
But here's the thing, there's no proof. And you'll never have proof. So I want you to give me proof that Sam Shimon actually beat his wife. And you know what? If you do, if you prove that Sam Shimon beat his wife, then I'll stop following him on YouTube. I'll stop listening to his content. Give me irrefutable proof that Sam Shimon beat his wife. Come on. It should be easy. It should be very easy.
Bruh, you have no right to complain about a lack of evidence. You were given it, and you gave what is easily the weakest refutation I've seen in all my life and beyond. I am under no obligation to bring you anything that I haven't already brought.
But I highly doubt you'll find it. And if you do, I'll stop following him. Stop listening to his videos. Stop watching him. I'll stop doing all of that. I will. And I'll stop criticizing Islam on wife beating. But till you do that, I'm still gonna do that.
Oh no, what am I gonna do?
And if you make a video refuting this, then guess what? I'm gonna refute it right back.
I am shaking in my $5 boots.
Sahih Muslim, Book 30, Hadith number 5756. Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Aisha. Yes, the same person who David was just telling us a story about, and was also narrated by her. After her husband, the greatest man who ever lived, passed away, so she would have no reason to lie about this, she tells us some very interesting information. The Messenger of Allah, Ma Daraba, never hit anything with his hand, neither a servant nor a woman. Huh? She included women in this report, not just wives? But of course, he did fight in the cause of Allah. He never took revenge upon anyone for the wrong done to him. But of course, he exacted retribution for the sake of Allah in case the injunctions of Allah about unlawful acts were violated.
So is this a contradiction?
No.
Because I just proved earlier that Muhammad did beat his wife. I proved that.
No, you didn't. You basically agreed that a pinch or poke or shove is what happened, but said, yeah, but minor pinch is still bad, lol, and somehow concluded that this was a beating at the same time. Like, I just don't. How can you say you proved anything? You even admitted that you don't know anything about Arabic. You didn't disprove what I said, you agreed but said it's still bad. Because your feelings.
So which one of these is lying to us?
Neither. One is describing a poke or a pinch. The other is describing general striking altogether. Daraba is actually the same word used in Quran chapter 4 verse 34, which you people love to go to. And in this hadith, it is saying that the Prophet never did this to Aisha. That is literally why I zoomed into the words ma daraba, just so that you couldn't make this argument and say,
So is this a contradiction?
because if obviously very different words are being used, then it's not a contradiction. I did that just so that you couldn't make this argument, and you still went ahead and made it.
And I don't know much about the Hadiths or the Quran, and I'm willing to accept criticism or commentary on this. I'm just wondering, did she say this before or after the incident of her getting struck lightly or pinched lightly that caused her pain, which, clear pain is already out of the question. So, did this came before or after?
I do believe I prefaced myself by saying, after her husband, the greatest man who ever lived, passed away. So obviously, this is after...
Because if it came before, then don't you think that Prophet Muhammad could have changed, possibly?
Yeah, sure. He never hit anything with his hand, or a servant, or a woman. Then suddenly, this violent monster unleashed inside of him, causing him to mercilessly pinch the crap out of his wife.
Or if it came after, then, you know what? It would be a contradiction.
No, because he didn't strike her. Oh my god.
But Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari and these other hadiths, again, they're not, according to Muslims, they're not the word of Allah, neither is the Quran, but...
Error. Please pay more attention to the things you say off the cuff.
And, they're allowed to contradict each other. Because they like to point to the Gospels.
What?
Which are kind of like the hadiths, of Jesus. They like to point to the Gospels.
Okay, what's that got to do with...
Actually, wait. So, I actually want to get to this because a Muslim made this point to me. So Jesus came with... So, the Gospel, I want to explain something very quickly about the Gospel.
I don't give one solitary sheet of toilet paper what your defense of the Gospels are. This video isn't even remotely related to them.
So, the Gospel is actually the Word of God. It is the Word of God.
Okay, I'm just gonna skip all of this. Not wasting my time.
David, please amend this. Of all the lies you've told, this has to be the one that even you, in all your stubbornness, must admit is a mistake on your gospel of anti-Islam. You're wrong. Admit it and move on to anything which isn't a waste of time. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Yeah, Islam is a waste of time because anyone who's part of the Islamic religion is wasting their time.
Okay, that's not an argument, but whatever.
So anyway, guys, God bless you all.
Not an argument. Alright, Mumk, listen up. If you were talking about Christianity, you probably would have done a much better job. Not a good job at all, but a better job, since you yourself admit to not knowing much of anything about Islam other than what it has to say about Christianity. I would advise you to learn about the basics of how Islam works, as well as the basics of Islamic sciences like Quran, Hadith, and Tafsir, before going and making a video like this. If you don't want to learn about Islam, that's your problem, but if you're going to make a video like this, I'd expect you to know the basics of how things work. And no, studying Sam Shimon's articles doesn't count. I'm being sincere when I say this. You really do need to learn. There are great resources online to get you started, and you can take a break from this refuting stage. I kind of feel like I know why you're doing this too. You're very devoted to Christianity for whatever reason, Allah knows best why, and you feel the need to defend it on every turn, and you see Islam as the biggest enemy to Christianity, and so you feel the need to oppose it on every turn. I mean, it's not like I don't understand your feelings, but you don't have the knowledge it takes to do what you're trying to do. Whether you're neutral about Islam, or attacking Islam, or defending Islam, I'd expect you to have at least some knowledge of Islam. So I would advise you to take a break from this YouTube thing, because as we can both see, it's not really working out for you, and you're kind of just going off the cuff trying to figure out how to refute what's being said. So you should just take a break, learn some stuff, read a few books, I don't know, and then maybe come back once you actually have a good idea of how to handle this. You'd save yourself a lot of time and headache. And as for the Muslims, please don't be so hard on this guy. He really doesn't have malicious intent. Whether he realizes it or not, he's just trying to figure out how to do all this. Inshallah, he'll be guided one day. Just give him time. And one last thing, Mumk. I'm probably not going to be responding to anything else you have to say. And one main reason is because I do have to get to my other projects, and this is kind of a waste of time. These responses are not very strong at all. And there are still so many more videos I have to make on Christianity, Islamophobia, and atheism. I really don't have time to be doing this week in and week out. So you should instead use that time to study things. And yeah, every time I get to making a video like this that's long and entertaining and well edited, reality comes to punch me square in the face with just how not beefy my computer is. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm sorry, I just had a Vietnam flashback.